Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandhya. I'm CEO for Wells Fargo. I'm very delighted and a moment of honor to be here with everyone. I'm going to be sharing the stage with two esteemed panelists and strong industry thought leaders with us. So that's also a moment of great honor. Thank you, NASSCOM, for the opportunity. Our topic today is trifecta of data, customer centricity, and purpose, and how this is a competitive edge for any organization. I think it's a very, very pertinent, relevant topic, very interesting too, because as we see in this digital era of digital transformation happening all around us, we're all experiencing an information revolution. And I don't think any industry or company can escape the information overload that we are all going through. So how do we really harness the potential of it along with the focus and, if I could say, customer obsession and wrapped around with purpose is going to be an interesting discussion as we hear from our panelists. In my 20 years of experience across financial industry and consulting, I've had the opportunity and I've been fortunate to have experienced this trifecta almost on a day-to-day basis in all my roles across American Express, Citi, and recently with Wells Fargo. And I can tell you that the evolution of this has really led to newer business models coming up, newer ways of revenue, customer growth coming up, and not only within an organization, but transforming an ecosystem and creating situations of partnership from looking at reviewing customer needs, as they come, to predicting customer needs and getting ahead of the game has been a phenomenal journey. The one thing that has struck with me is while data and customer centricity has been there for a while, and is powerful enough to fuel the growth of an organization. But when wrapped around with a sense of purpose, I think it gives an exponential effect because it's transformed the way you connect with the customer. It's transformed a product-based connect or a transaction-based connect with the customer into a more powerful relationship. And then that relationship really gives you the power to, have or add a competitive advantage to that. Interestingly, we call it competitive advantage today because I quite see it becoming an existential requirement in the near future and more like a lifeline for any organization to survive. Well, with that, let's discuss with our esteemed panelists in terms of how different organizations are approaching this. So I would like to start with my first question to Sravana, you. How do you see the trifecta coming into play at Walmart? And if I were to just add that coming out of the pandemic, what kind of customer behavior trends are you observing? And any specific, and looking at those trends, are there any specific strategies of harnessing the trifecta that you've been thinking through?
Yeah, absolutely, Sandhya. First of all, it's great to be here. Nice meeting you, Sandhya and Sastry. This is my first in-person conference after the pandemic. I'm sure it is same for many of you. Thank you for joining in person, and for those of you on the Zoom as well, thank you for participating in this one. Really excited to be here. So you asked about trifecta and competitive advantage at Walmart. At Walmart, our mission is the most important to us. Many companies are becoming more values-based and purpose-oriented. It is absolutely true for Walmart as well. Sam Walton started the company with the mission to help people live better lives by saving them money. So we started by making access to products, affordable products, as the first thing that we do. But as we went on, it is not just with products alone. It is also about access to financial services, access to any number of other services that the customers are in need of. Let me give you one simple example in Mexico. Mexico is a country of 120 million population. 40% of the population does not have access to basic basket. Imagine that. That's more than 40 million people don't have access to basic basket. And many of them don't have access to good, affordable internet. They don't have access to financial services. Many of them don't have bank accounts even. And we found it our responsibility to help those customers. And we recently launched an affordable internet service called Byte. We also launched a product called Cashy, where they can which they can use to receive money from United States and other countries in terms of remittances, and then that also feeds our ecosystem as well. From a strategy point of view, most of our businesses have very similar strategy. It's all about focusing on the customer, getting the customers to come into our stores, whether it is physical stores, online stores, have them transact with us in purchasing those products and services, and build an ecosystem where they can transact with us in terms of on our marketplace, in our financial services, and other services as well, and be laser focused on cost and other monetization opportunities. That allows us to feed the money back, investment back into the ecosystem, and do more for our customers. That's simply our strategy. You also asked about emerging trends. I would say the customers' expectations have always remained the same. They constantly push us, just like any other company. So they value affordable products and value for money, speed of delivery, choice, convenience, and so forth. Pandemic has actually taught us how to adjust to that reality, and that continues as well. So it is not just doing one thing, but it's doing all of those things and more. I see that continuing. But one last point I would say is that as pandemic sort of began to ease, we started to see more and more of our customers who wanted to go back to the stores and interact in person, touch and feel the products, and interact with our associates. And that's been refreshing to watch. And I think now we're in an era where that will continue to happen, and people would want to consume services and products online as well. So that's what we see going forward.
Thank you very much. I agree. I think it's not going to be any side of the pendulum anymore. It's going to find its own equilibrium coming out of there. So Sastry, coming to you, staying on the same topic of how does Trifecta come into play at TIAA, I would like to load the question also with a topic that's close to your heart. I know you've been working a lot on retirement, ESG, and how has been the experience in that space from a Trifecta perspective? If you could share that.
Thank you. Well, first of all, like Sravana, it's fantastic to be here in person. Hello, India, and it's always a special place for me to come back, feel at home whenever I'm here. We have some common experiences from American Express, from my days, 15 years at Amex, Marsh & McLennan, and McKinsey. I always had the opportunity to work with global capability centers in India, so I'm really excited to be here. I think the Trifecta it's almost like, it's never going to change. It's going to always have a different impact. 10 years ago, if we had a conversation like this, we would have acknowledged the same Trifecta, but for different use cases and different levels of impact. And I can imagine 50 years from now, we would be talking about data and customer-centricity and purpose. I'll bring it back to purpose, like Sravana did. I think it's probably the most important thing. TIAA is not a household name, so just a quick refresher. TIAA is a financial services company. It's a Fortune 100 company, which was founded by Andrew Carnegie in 1918, so 100+ years ago, with one intent, which was the original intent was to provide lifetime income for teachers. So the T stands for teachers. Since then, of course, we've evolved quite a bit, and our goal is to provide lifetime retirement income for folks in, education, healthcare, and other industries. And today we manage over $1.3 trillion in assets with global presence. So from a retirement perspective, from an asset management standpoint, from a wealth management standpoint, we focus a lot on creating really tailor-made solutions for our customers. In this case, they are client institutions or participants within the client. So it's a B2B and B2B2C. And in the wealth case, wealth management case, it's also B2C. So the role that data plays is extremely important in our case, whether to assess how we personalize the solutions for our participants. And participants in this case are quite diverse. If you think about it, you could be a teacher or a colleague in a higher ed university who's just beginning your journey in your career and you're beginning to invest, to people who have accumulated some wealth and they want to invest more wisely, more broadly, and then people who've just retired who are not accumulating but decumulating their wealth. And so if you tailor-made the solutions for these different types of participants, it's quite diverse on the retirement side. And then you go to asset management, how do you invest this money of over $1.3 trillion? We are the number one real estate investor in farmland. So there's probably some commonality, like the wine that is on Walmart shelves, the grapes are actually farmed in the lands that TIAA invested in. So it's like, the circle that, and which brings us to, how do we provide these lifetime solutions while investing responsibly for the planet? So we are the top 5 sustainable growth fund managers in the world. So we take that job very seriously. We have been the original ESG investors before ESG was, a mainstream topic. So, so there's a lot of data and customer centricity that comes to play in that, because ultimately it's a purpose-driven culture, right, in the whole circle. So, I think the opportunities in front of us are pretty immense. And I do think that, just to echo previous points on the global capability centers from the previous discussion, I think the role that the centers here play is vital, more than becoming an augmentation of the core business, but actually creating value-add products from here itself.
I've seen many organizations with customer centricity at the core, but now I'm hearing purpose at the core. So that's a very interesting shift that we see. But yet the trifecta stays, as you said. I'm now going to ask a question that many in the room may have in their mind. It's about, how do you see successful capabilities being built around this in the GCC space? And any secret sauce that you'd like to share?
You want me to go first?
Yes, go ahead, please.
All right. So, as it should not surprise you that I'm originally from India as well. I grew up in Chennai, worked in Hyderabad as well for a couple of years before heading off to US. So the remarkable transformation over the past few decades. I was part of the initial batch of people that worked on CAD/CAM software in that industry in India. So if I say the year, you'll probably guess my age. But really remarkable transformation. I say this because it is at that time, around the time when I started working in India, is when India started to heavily invest in education, in computer science and engineering in general, and started to build this capability within various parts of India. And we're seeing the fruits of all of that. At Walmart, we have a thriving development center. We call it Walmart Global Tech India. Hari Vasudev, he's the head of IDC for Walmart, who's not here, he's watching online. But Prashanti, who built up, Prashanti Bodagam, who built up Chennai Center during pandemic and a massive scale, is right here. So this team has done an amazing job of building a thriving center for Walmart in India. And what is really made work for us is not to see this center as an extension of other centers in the U.S. I've always said workflows where it gets done, and we have a really top-notch team, whether it is full stack, Java development, backend development, cloud technologies, AI, machine learning, data science, and all of that. US designers as well, and all of the teams here work really well with the business teams across various locations. One might think that, look, we are tethered to US, but US is only one market. I represent international within Walmart, and we have businesses all across the world. Mexico I mentioned, and Canada, Chile, etc. And being able to partner with all of them in a flexible way, and in a way what we call as four in the box. We have teams representing product and technology, engineering, design, and business operations. Having all of them work as one team, focused on the customer, anticipating their needs and solving that. That customer centricity is what is making the difference for us. With that, the team has launched a whole bunch of technologies. You probably have heard some of them. Scan and Go is an example. Scan and Ship is an example. Crowdsourcing is another example. Express shipping is another example. Optical, try on, different clothes online. All of those, or makeup. Any number of these technologies. One of the things about retail is it's a complex business. You start from customer, they're not just as a individual customer needs, but also study the communities in which those customers are, understand something more about their setup, and then come up with solutions for them. Because we are focused on doing good to the communities in which we serve. So really taking an end-to-end view to merchandising, sourcing, operating, and e-commerce, and post-purchase, support and all of that, leveraging data and customer insights, and solving all of that is what we focused on. And all of that is happening in India, and so around the clock. And so that's really our approach, and that's working really well.
That's very impressive to hear about the capabilities built out, and I'm sure many more are going to come our way in the GCC space. I am going to come back to you, Sastry. You talked about responsible financing and how TIAA is kind of driving that. Another aspect of responsibility also comes with how you use the data, right? And as also a CIO, would you share with the group as to how do you strike the right balance in maximizing the trifecta, but yet being responsible about how you use it, the data privacy, etc.?
Yeah, I think, obviously we are in the age of AI, and AI is not a specialty subject anymore. It's mainstream. And similar to Walmart, in our Global Capability Center, we have a lot of focus on data and AI, and more creating data-driven products and value-added models for our retirement business, as well as our asset management and wealth management businesses. I think, first of all, the regulatory landscape is changing, as we all know, and it's going to continue to change. Things are going to get more complicated, more complex, more scrutiny, so that's going to continue. And I think, similar to my earlier comment on the trifecta, that's going to be the case where we will always have to be watchful. Cyber landscape is obviously fast evolving, and things like ransomware that were specialty attacks have actually become businesses now for the bad actors. So I think data and, frankly, more importantly, usage of data in these AI models and protecting that, I think is going to be an important focus for any business. For us, obviously, we are also very heavy on DE&I as an example. So how do we make sure that while we have this level of data and insights, how do we help communities in a different way? As an example, we launched a program called #RetireInequality, because we've realized that 30%, actually more than 30% of women retire with less income in retirement compared to men. So how do we actually help the power, with the women with the power of data to actually tailor the solutions in a different way, as an example? Same thing with ESG. We talked about climate tech, a lot of greenwashing happening. How do we also, as a stakeholder at the table and a responsible investor in the proxy conversations, how do we have intelligent insights to the companies that we're investing in, et cetera. So I think the power of data is going to be quite useful. The responsibility will also be quite more heavy. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I see the time's up, but I'm just going to wrap it up with one last question to both of you. How do you see the future unfolding, and any key message that you'd like to share with the group?
One message I would leave everyone with is focus on the customer, right? One of the things I tell my teams is, as international CTO, is our cash registers are in the markets. So think about those customers, think about those customers' needs and what you could be doing, and doing it responsibly, doing it in a way that brings meaning to our work, true to our purpose. And the other one from a GCC perspective, I would say, is be the best in what you do, and contribute to solving the broader problem.
Yeah, my comment would be culture, especially for the capability centers here, because obviously technologies will change, customer demands will change, people will continue to evolve, talent, is changing, strategies actually change, as companies reinvent. I think what really holds it all together and really paves the future is the culture. So as you think about, and I would echo the previous panel's commentary on this, how do you evolve the culture to a point where that sense of belongingness, the ownership, value creation, product creation coming out of the GCC, I think that's going to be really powerful as we unleash some of these ideas and really pave the future for the companies that we always work for, but also more importantly for the broader community.
Thank you, and I would just add the piece of purpose to it, which actually is, taking a center stage now. And the ability to connect with the purpose and have a long-lasting impact is something that I have seen how companies are doing it best as well. So I would recommend that piece also, in addition. All right, thank you very much. It's been very nice learning from you, and thank you for being a great audience.
So that has been a couple of very interesting sessions we've had. So Rekha, if it's okay, let me just go through and share a little bit on some of the first sessions on what I took away from it. I found Devjani's statement, in the session with Gunjan and Manu to be really powerful, that reimagining what GCCs can do, is that a missed opportunity for us or not? And when are we going to see future global CEOs coming from the GCC community? A bold, ambitious, but I think achievable kind of a goal. Manu spoke about breaking the shackles. Gunjan, of course, dimensioned the opportunity, and what they discussed was the leadership mindsets which need to change. How do we have a North Star, a purpose for the local organization with a bold vision? And I really liked the statement which one of them made, which was location should not be a constraint for people's ambitions. We heard from the minister, of course, which summarized where the industry is today and all that the state government is doing. We really appreciate the support from the state government for even hosting this conference out here in Hyderabad. And then we had a conversation on revenue, which was really around the fact that a conversation where they discussed multiple real opportunities where revenue could be generated based on activities which are here. So Rekha, can I pass it on to you for your views on the last session?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Puneet, for summarizing the first two sessions. And just as we, brought it all together, I think, one of the statements KSV made is, let's think of where we want to be. And Sudesh mentioned that you should hire not for what is this today, but what you want for the future. And I think the future is in our youngsters, those who seek a tremendous sense of purpose. We've seen enough research on millennials who want to work for companies with purpose. We just had a great conversation on two organizations that are doing that with the continued focus on customer centricity. And I think the underlying theme as we leave this particular session, the first 3 sessions of the day, is really about building that culture, building that mindset, and challenging to make sure that we are moving away from the status quo towards our success stories. So with that, I think it's a wrap for the first half of the day. We are all obviously going to do something we like best, which is bonding over lunch. And that's going to happen here. And not to forget the minister's appeal on his biryani. So I hope some of it is there for us here today. But I do hope that all of you also have a good, break, read up on your emails, catch up, lunch, and then please be back with us at 2 p.m. where Puneet is now suddenly going to go on the other side and be on a panel. So have a lovely day, and thank you so much for being with us and your attention.